I'm really excited today to finally have Rachel Atkin joining me, who is the Property Management Operations Manager for Harcourts Victoria. I actually had the pleasure of meeting her in person only the other week at a book launch, and I was just loved her energy and her aura that she brings, whether you know her from on the online space or in person. This lady definitely needs a big introduction because she sure has impressed me. Rachel, thank you so much for joining the Rise Factor today.
Oh, thanks so much, Sarah. It's great to be here, and what a kind introduction. I think you're right though. When you meet people, whether it is online or in person, you just know straight away if there's a connect. And you absolutely smashed it out as MC at that recent book launch of Andy Reid. So huge congrats to you. I think what you're doing in the industry is just fabulous. So
Oh,
feelings very mutual.
thank you. It's always nice to have mutual cheerleaders, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Well, I want to pass over the mic to you though, because the light's on you for coming on. And for those that perhaps do not know you, Rachel, can you let us know who is Rachel?
So Rachel is a real estate industry professional with 20 years experience, is the professional bio. Rachel, outside of work, though, is a bit of a dag. I love all things 80s music. Anyone who knows me knows that. But I'm super passionate about everything BDM growth and property management. So I've been really fortunate to step into this role at Harcourts about 12 months ago now and just connect with some really great people, both inside and outside of our network. I think, it's an interesting time in the industry. People are looking to collaborate with people who are, that they know, like, and trust, that they see some level of self
Mm.
within their presence. And I think that's been the best gift that I didn't expect in this role, is to really connect with good humans and just try and, leverage to make our lives better together.
Oh, I love love that line. So are you a fan of a Night at the Roxbury?
Pardon?
Are you a fan of Night at the Roxbury?
I am. I'm a tragic, yes. How did you know? You've
Oh,
done your
well,
research.
when you said 80s, and I mean, I was born in 1989, but I've got brothers that are quite a bit older than me. So I grew up listening to 80s music. And I actually attended an event once that was a night at the Roxbury, and I think it was one of the best nights out I've ever had.
Totally. I think anybody who is Gen X or surrounded by Gen X knows that we know how to work hard but play hard as well. So that's a really good trait of these, Gen Xers. But so many amazing people in saying that. Like, I
Mm.
think, we talk about the workforce as it is today, and with so many different generations under the same roof in the workplace. I actually think it's the most exciting time to be in real estate. There's the younger generations are all across tech. They're bringing it into our world. We're bringing in some knowledge and, life lessons as well. So it's this great melting pot
Mm.
of ideas and creativity. It's super exciting.
I love that. So, on the back of that, Rachel, because I think it's fascinating with what you just said, and I think acknowledging that, yes, right now we've got, and it's really interesting dynamic. And I think, I also think it's a challenge for a lot of businesses with that dynamic of having such a diverse, not only like culturally, but looking at our age, personalities, and placing the right people within a team. And business development managers need to work with so many different people on a daily basis. And off air, I said, it's something I wanted to talk about from your perspective because their responsibility is highly important because they're building and nurturing relationships every single day. And when we look at these people, well, look at the organization, sales team, the rental team, your head of department, your CEOs, directors, corporate team. Then you've got their referral partners, so their mortgage brokers, accountants.
Absolutely.
The list goes on, right? And then they've got to also nurture their own relationships with themselves, their family, their friends, their own networks, life admin, which I mean, I'm sure that can get built up at some time. So, what do you think is going to be like the biggest challenge for business development managers with navigating all of these different relationships all at once?
It's such a good point you make. And I think, I've always, as a former head of growth and BDM myself, I've always found that BDM is almost like a little island on its own, even though we have all of those contact points. I think, it's really important that we have structure around what we do. And really, for me, something that worked really well was being really structured with my diary to make sure that I was staying authentic to myself, keeping my appointments with myself, whether that was a personal appointment, prospecting appointment, meeting with referral partners. I was so highly scheduled 3 months out, and obviously leaving gaps for those incredible opportunities to go and appraise and list properties as well. But there is a melting pot, and what that looks like for everyone is a little different. And I think as real estate professionals, we've got to let people play to their strengths.
Mm.
And, one of the things is finding out what time of day brings you energy. So some people are better in the morning, some people are better at night. I work with somebody who is incredibly great, but they're super early. So for me, that doesn't work. I like to walk the dog. I like to, have my morning tea and just get sorted for the day.
Mm.
Other people like myself, I'm happy to jump on after 8 o'clock and do what I need to do and really smash out some admin then. So if a BDM's not out there making the most of relationship conversations during business hours, for me, that's the most important priority. We really are a walking brand when we're in business development, not just for the agency we work for, but also for ourselves and our own personal brand, which I think is, at the forefront of the reason why people want to do business with us. They see the person first. Everybody can be a real estate agent. It's not that hard, low barrier to entry in our industry. It's how we do what we do in that space that keeps people coming back, wins the business, gets the referral partners interested. I've had the privilege of building a rent roll from scratch a couple of years ago. We had very little marketing spend. I had to leverage every opportunity I had, whether that was staff in the office.
Mm.
And you know what? One of the favourite things I used to like to do is take every sales team member out for a coffee once a fortnight. I
Mm.
wanted to know what was on their books, what was coming up, who were their investors, where were they going. So all of these incredible relationships, that's the stuff that matters. That's your melting pot. That's the conversion factor. So you'll see me get my nerd on when it comes to talking about all things BDM. I have been told, and tell me if you recognise this, I come to life when I talk about growth because we are salespeople for the rent roll.
Mm.
We have to work in the same mindset is my philosophy. Obviously others like to have the work-life balance. They're doing a hybrid role, hybrid PM, BDM. I can understand that, head of department, but I really think the standalone BDM is the key to successful organic growth within any business. So critically important.
Yeah. So much then I just agreed with. And I think I just want to make a point that you said, Rachel, is play to your strength. And I really love this. And because for me, I work better in the mornings. So, and typically I was like one of the first people in the office there in the morning. And I would actually do a lot of my calls in the morning because what I found was people were most happiest in the morning. They were in their car. And I
Mm-hmm.
also was very fortunate though that I had then flexibility. Like if I started at, 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, I wasn't expected to work until 5:30 at night. And I think that's because there's got to be a level of trust then. The numbers had to be there, the revenue had to be there to be able to have that flexibility. So do you think that once that trust is there, the numbers are on the board, that playing to your strengths could be that to allow that flexibility for BDMs if that's what their strengths are, if they're an early riser or a night owl.
And I think you make a good point there that, our lives evolve and change as we're running this thing called a career side by side, what I think is our real life. And that's our family, our friendships, and our joys outside of the workplace. And I think, a really good business leader, when they've got a great hire or an emerging BDM with great talent, let them run. Like, let them try different approaches to their role. As you say, at the end of the day, the numbers don't lie. And I think if the KPIs are being ticked off and, there's achievement and beyond, does it really matter how we do our work every day? I think, that level of empowerment also helps the BDMs see their role as a business within the business. Because
Yeah.
from my perspective, they're one of the most critical roles in any business, but probably the role that's kind of, you know, if we're honest with some business owners, when financials are tight and you're looking at headcount, it's probably a nice to have role from a business owner's perspective. I'd love to shift that thinking and have them understand that it's actually a critical role. Otherwise, it's rinse and repeat. The
Yeah.
PMs do an incredible job of maintaining the rent roll, but without that organic growth and that spokesperson for your business, you're just not going to get that 10x leverage that you need for
Mm.
significant and asset build.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Which is a great point that you make, Rachel, because I actually know that there's a lot of organizations at the moment who aren't replacing BDM. So if you're listening to this podcast or watching this YouTube today, huge opportunity for you if you are a business with a BDM, knowing that there are organizations who are not replacing their BDMs. Just wanted to put that out there in the limelight. One thing that you said before is that BDMs are a walking brand. And what I love about this statement, and I'm going to use myself as a perfect example, is I absolutely loved being a BDM. So what that meant was essentially, Rachel, I was on 24/7. It doesn't mean I was working 24/7, but I was on 24/7. And my director always said that that was my strength. There was opportunities that I found everywhere because I was an opportunist and I viewed my role as a business within a business, which is another point that you just made. So I think this can get a bit blurred when we talk about this, though, because, there's this, I think people think that it's expected that they need to work all the time, but it's just looking at the opportunities all the time if you are
Mhm.
the BDM. So how would you like view, that saying of being,
Oh,
24/7?
you are spot on, Sarah. And, it is a lifestyle choice, this kind of role. So it's not for the faint-hearted. If you're going in there because you just want to get off a portfolio, it's probably not the right role. So I think having those honest conversations with people that are looking to get into BDM, for me, it is a specialist role that runs exactly the same as a sales agent does. That obviously commission structures and so forth vary,
Mm.
but there does need to be that availability to know that you're on when the business lead drops. It has to be a lifestyle job. I talked to our network at Harcourts recently about, even at the local market in the area that I worked in, Saturdays I'd make sure that I took my dog. My dog, little Spike at the time, had a branded bandana that he wore. I made sure I wore the hat and the polo so that if I was talking to people in my local listing community, they would talk to the funniest part was kids always come up to a dog. What
Yes.
comes with kids? Mums and dads. Mums and dads are business owners or, property owners and investors. So suddenly, rather than them always seeing this polished professional, 9 to 5 real estate agent, they could actually see the human connect. So we talk about stuff that really wasn't about real estate. If the opportunity was there, of course we would. But they talk about the dog and they go, remember that Rachel that we met? She was really good to talk to and she just wasn't a real estate agent. So avoiding giving the real estate ick, which is a really big thing. I think that's where BDMs can come in as those, you know, information providers. They are partners and relationship builders, but they're partners in educating investors about their properties and the asset and the value of that long term. So I don't see it as a quick list and flick to a PM. It's a list, it's a nurture, it's a grow, and then it's to help them get into another investment property. So everybody's winning. And I think that's the goal of, yes, there's times where we need to be professional. Other times you can just be your daggy self. And that's the stuff that they remember.
Mhm.
I've got a funny story to share as well. I got a referral at one point, and I'm sure you've got 1,000 of these stories. It was a neighbour of a property that I managed, and they didn't have any investments at the time. They did buy a property, and they remembered that I helped them to solve a fencing issue that 3 BDMs slash property managers in the past hadn't been able to do. 6 years later, she
Wow.
contacted me, found my details on Google, and said, I've just built 4 townhouses. Are you still in the area?
Amazing.
So it's the little things we do that may not be immediate business results that stay with people that means that you're their go-to person when the time is right. So never say no to an opportunity, but most of all, be a good human first and really love what you do.
Yeah, I love that. So many takeaways from there. I'd love to know, Rachel, because I mean, this might be whether it's a Harcourts thing or your belief, however you want to go down. Let's talk about though a brand of a BDM because, and this is a typical conversation that I have or I've seen that BDMs ask is when it comes to social media and their business has brand guidelines or perhaps they don't have brand guidelines, but if you, a BDM, we would look at the role as a business within the business. Do you think they should have the flexibility of portraying authentically who they are on their social medias, or do you think we still need to have this that professionalism, big brand perception? Like, because you made a mention of human connect and the human first. So if
Yeah.
we take our BDM hat off and just go, well, we are human, we're there to help other
Yeah.
humans with their investment properties. We'd love to know, what your thoughts are on that.
I love the human side, and we are, all these amazing, ever evolving, flawed individuals as humans. We make mistakes, we do the wrong thing, we say the wrong thing. But I think showing up as who you are first is
Mm.
probably what won you the role in the business you're working in because you were yourself. I think the whole idea of fake it till you make it, it's people can smell that a mile away now. So you're better off just going, being real, I'm new to this role, really keen to make it successful, but I want to help you understand as I grow in my journey what we can do together. I've got time on my hands to make sure I really nurture you if you appoint me as your BDM and we can grow together. So I think, coming from a place of energy is the most important thing. Secondly, having some level of knowledge to back it up. But from a social media perspective, I read a great book early days in my journey at McGrath by John McGrath, and it's called You Inc. And it talks about your personal brand. So if anyone's looking for a great quick read, so many takeaways from that,
Yeah.
that it's all about your personal brand. And, our clients, our potential clients, are sort of socially dating us before they even give us a call or pick up the phone or shoot through an email. So
Yeah.
I think the most important thing is to be you because you will attract the kind of clients that want to do business with you and that you want to work with more importantly. So when there's that values alignment, by default, you'll also attract the right renters to the property and it's just an easier experience for everybody. So absolutely stick to your individual brand values or regulations, but outside of that, be yourself and please no more just listeds, no more just lease. Like they're great, but do a monthly update and tell the world about your results. Don't do copy paste. I think, gone are those days where people find that interesting to them. And we
Yeah.
really need to cater to the client, not to what we did.
Yes.
It's less of the look at me, it's the more of get to know me and trust me. I
Mm.
think that's pretty magic.
Definitely. Magic, powerful words there. So You Inc. is the book. And Rachel, just on that, and I love, the answer that you said then because you're looking at a lot of people that work in Harcourts, you can see who they are, not just the Harcourts brand. So it's a perfect example there. And I think Harcourts do a really good job of being able to show the people behind the office and behind the brands. And that's one thing that I really love to see about the Harcourts brand. So really glad that you did say that because that's what I see. And I think that's what I love about all of seeing the BDMs like showing up is that you really can see their personalities and definitely helps with
Yeah.
trust for sure. For sure.
And we are a fun network. Like
You are.
we definitely live our values when it comes to fun and just being ourselves. And it's almost like we've built a little Harcourts community within Instagram as well. So we're always cheering each other on and, giving feedback equally that if something's a bit, you know,
Yeah.
but conversely, if something's amazing, why wouldn't we all jump on that, instead of reinventing the wheel? And yeah, we like to have fun. I think, if I think of Nima and the team out at Manningham in particular, they know how to have a lot of fun. And similarly with our Melbourne City office, they do a great job. And our award-winning Karen Downs team. So Rada and Co, we've got such a great network of incredible humans, but
Yeah.
they're all just people first. And we
That's
like to have fun. So
Yeah, I love that. So many golden nuggets there. So if we're at BDM this year, 2025, and we're looking at relationships and we spoke about the being a walking brand and loving our role and loving what we do, what would be your advice for them to level up their relationships this year and level up their brand this year?
I think that's a good question, and it is a changing market at the moment. I think we're going to see, a little bit of softening in the BDM space. So if there's less available listings, we've got to work harder than ever as a BDM. So it's really about being communication the way the client wants to be communicated with. So just because it might work for us doesn't mean it works for your client. So always ask that question, whether you're at appraisal stage, how would you best like to be communicated with? Because I can assure you nobody else is asking that question. And it's just, baseline respect. You want to target them the way they want to be spoken to or communicated to. Secondly, I would say that do your follow-up. I think, it's easy to go and get a coffee when you're having a bad day or say, I'll do that tomorrow. But, keep yourself honest. I think I'm guilty. I've done it in the past as well, where I've gone, it's not a great month. Maybe I'll just carry that forward and have a bumper month the next month. It doesn't work. It's an everyday prospecting role, as we know. And if you're not doing that, you'll find you have this journey of ups and downs with your results.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for that consistency, you've just got to be honest with yourself first and really work this business. And the business is people and communication. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
You're prospecting, absolutely. You're asking happy clients, are they happy to give you a referral or a testimonial, even better on Google? All of that social proof helps others make a decision and creates this hyper sort of activity around who you are in the area. And when people start to get on the trail of something that they're interested in, they say it takes, I think, somewhere between 8 or 12, I can't remember, don't quote me, different contact points before someone will actually prick their ears up and do business with you. So just having that consistent presence or other people advocating for your skills, I think that's the most powerful. I do have one little nugget, if I may share, that was really, and I always share this with my BDMs, your tradespeople are the biggest network of referral partners you can work with. I was fortunate in a previous role to make sure I hand selected the trades I chose to do business with and business partners. They were my biggest referral source when I reflected on a 12-month period where we listed 180 properties in that 12 months organically. It was from that source. They're in properties, they're doing renovations, they're understanding what, owners are saying about what the next journey is with that particular property. When a tradesperson who they're happy with drops your name and your business card, it carries so much more weight than me knocking on the door or reaching out on the telephone. So, yeah.
Great.
That's a great little one to have up your sleeve.
Yes, great. And it's really fascinating as well, Rachel, when we're talking, because there's so many foundations and fundamental things that we can do. It doesn't have to be hard. I think people think that BDM role has to be so hard and so complicated. And a lot of what you've spoken about today is your existing relationships, and so I think start there. And before you start going, well, I've got no leads, I think we also need to put the mirror on ourselves and go, well, what are we doing today to ensure we have good relationships, to ensure that we're leveraging our network, So I think some great points that you've made there and it doesn't have to be hard BDMs, right? To level up your relationships, flip the mirror, look at yourself, take some responsibility, accountability, be consistent, show up, and don't miss your follow-up, right? And be a great communicator.
Spot on. Yeah, don't miss the follow-up. I love that you said that, because so much business is won when the lazy agent doesn't do what they said they were going to do. So the competitor comes in, probably not doing as well or as skilled. It might just be their lucky day. They happen to do the follow-up and the work. So the timing was right. They get the listing. Even when we lose listings, though, I think it's important to stay in touch with those clients, because we aren't, as much as we'd love to win on every opportunity, sometimes, if you hold your fees, which I think is another important strategy for me, if I'm going to do business, I want to make sure people see the value in my fees. So that's my first. If you're fee competitive and that's all you've got to lean on, you probably will never build a rent roll that's sustainable and have that repetitive growth and referral. If you're holding your fees and you're demonstrating the value, that's where the referral stuff kicks in. But yeah, absolutely being honest with ourselves and holding the mirror, critically important. But have fun with it. We get to do what we love. You get to network. Most BDMs are people, and if you're not, it's the wrong role. And I feel bad saying that, but you really need to, and I'll be honest, I'm an extroverted introvert, so I love people to death, but I know when I need to switch off, go home and just go, okay, it's the dog and I for 24 hours solid, and, have a big walk the next morning and get on with it. So that's really important to know ourselves well.
Yeah, I love that. Fees, let's talk about it. We weren't going to go here, but I think it's important. So, Rachel, one thing that I've identified is that for some reason, some business owners don't want to have the transparency behind why they charge what they charge. Therefore, the BDMs don't know how to articulate thoroughly the value because they actually don't understand it. What would be your advice to a BDM that would love to understand more why they charge what they charge so that they can truly embody the value of a business to win those fees because they know the worth that they bring to
Mm.
the potential client?
And it's so important. The fee conversation is the one thing that I think new to industry BDMs are nervous to address. They're quick to gloss over the fees. Here's the quick basic fees, like, your advertising, your letting fee, and that's about it, your management fee. When you sit down with your client and work through the whole range of fees that could potentially come to light during your business transaction with them, it's actually educating them, and it opens up an opportunity to talk about, yes, we have a VCAP preparation fee. It's unlikely to happen, but this is what the charges would be, and this is how we avoid it. So by stepping through each fee that's fully disclosed, it's an education piece for the client, and you're building stickiness because you're being very transparent and honest. I think, when we think of any purchase we make or any commitment we make, whether it's superannuation or any other big purchase in life, you kind of want to know, you're up for money,
Hmm.
and you'd rather have someone be honest so there's no surprises. I think 3 months into the journey, when you get hit with a fee on a statement that you weren't expecting, it makes you, just think, hang on, this is not right. So automatically you've gone to a place of negativity. When have you have authentically said, we probably won't need to use any of these fees, but I like to be honest and share them with you, because if things happen as they do with some tenancies, so we work hard to protect that happening. This is the reality, and this is how we'll support you through that to make sure you come out as unscathed as possible. So don't be shy to do the fees, because that's actually where the relationship point of difference happens. I think someone who's able to educatedly talk about fees, and be honest, it's business. It's nothing to do with you, nothing to do with them. They're expecting to pay for a service.
Yeah.
You need to justify why your fees are the right level and the right service outcome for that particular client. And it does change. Obviously there's variances for large volume clients. There's, different parts where you need to be competitive if you're at a build stage. It depends on your business journey at the time, but that transparency is critical for me. If I was a client, I'd want someone to tell me the truth and not get a statement and go, what's that? Straight away, I'm going to start shopping because I feel like they haven't been authentic with me or honest. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's not hide away from the fees and let's
No.
talk about it. And I think what I liked what you said there, Rachel, was the how, right? Because I
Mhm.
know sometimes we can go and talk about, well, this is what we do, but it doesn't translate to then what the client wants to hear. So going back to that client-centric mindset. So I think that's a
Mhm.
valuable lesson for BDMs is understand your fees, and then you need to research the value in, well, why your organization charges what they charge. And that's the piece there,
Absolutely.
and how that actually helps your client and make it easy for them to understand what the fees
Mhm.
are. It's not complicated. We just need to be able to make it easy in how we're communicating that. That's that word again, to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, becoming the legislative expert, just because you're in a BDM role doesn't mean that you don't have to stay abreast of all of the PM changes. So again, that's where your PM team are a fantastic support, particularly in Victoria, as we are, they change regularly. So it's good to keep abreast of that, so that that's also your point of difference, that you're happy to talk about compliance and safety checks, you're happy to talk about legislation. It suddenly empowers you so much more than someone who's looking to just get a signature, flick it and run.
Absolutely.
So that's very short-term BDM thinking versus I'm in it for the long haul.
Yeah. So AI, how is AI impacting or I guess helping with the BDM's role?
It's an interesting space, and I think, it's certainly evolving every day. You've just taught me about some of the AI you use before we jumped on the podcast, so I'm blown away. For those of you playing at home, I said hello to an AI bot. thinking it was a human. So I'm happy to put it out there. We're all learning.
That's right.
But, I've spoken with Samantha McLean about this as well, and I'm, so fascinated by where this is going to take us. I think, if we think of AI as our silent assistant, it means we're not having to pay necessarily as we're building our career for those admin or offshore support. That will come in time as your business grows, but leverage, quick responses, even if it's something as basic as ChatGPT. But in terms of, tailoring any marketing pieces, getting rid of the fluff. I'm the biggest fluff communicator, so I love AI for really stripping out the warm and fuzzy when I need to talk about business specific principles. So, yeah, I think there's lots of different ways we can use it, even to generate different ideas. I've had moments where I was stuck in my own head, and I now tend to use ChatGPT like I would for Google to just really understand, okay, I want an idea on how I can nurture a new client base. Where would I find a list without paying? And it gives you all of these great ideas. So stepping your toe in the water, but really getting on board with it, it's a critical piece for the role moving forward, because people are expecting responsiveness and that quick turnaround. We partner with some great software and tech. We've got Realtor as one of our partners here at Harcourts, and they do a really good job in terms of, being the quiet BDM assistant, sending out digital videos. One of our offices in Berwick is doing a great job with digital videos, so that every time there's an inquiry to the office, lo and behold, it gets sent out automatically. They're fully informed about who she is. And Vanessa Nichols is an incredible lister. She's our number one PM across the network nationally. She has a really good tool now in her toolkit to be able to say that lead's being nurtured while I'm out doing another appraisal or another task. And I think that video content with AI combined is such a game changer.
Yes, because responsiveness and I love this. We're in sync so many ways. It's I hear commonly, oh, the other agent got to them first. And I'm like, okay, but what if you could still get to that person without having even spoken to them yet? And that's just having that process in place too with the lead. So whether that's they're calling up and the receptionist is taking their contact details, but at least they can put that lead in and that automation ticks off, right? It's like bang, at least they're hearing. So I think there's an opportunity there still now with utilizing AI so that you don't come back from an appointment and go, oh shit, this lead came through and no one's done anything with it. Because by the time we get back from an appraisal, it could be 2 hours later. So I think there's an opportunity here for businesses and BDMs to look at, okay, how can I make sure that I'm still getting in contact with that person, but it's not me contacting them. It's AI contacting them, right? And still getting in front of them without getting in front of them. So I love that she's already incorporated that. And I think again, there's mass amounts of opportunity there going forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think you've hit the nail on the head with responsiveness. Every missed opportunity is going to cost us all money. So why wouldn't we do the right thing and have processes and systems in place to take care of that while we're doing the human connect? And when we are doing the human connect, let's not forget our rent investors as well, and our prospective landlords at different sales auction events. I was often seen at any investor skewed auctions on a Saturday afternoon or morning, making sure I was there ready to sign them up on the day because they're happy, they're celebrating, they've just listed, secured this property. Why wouldn't I have an authority there ready to go? And to educate them about what the rent will be and what our process is. So that's a little nugget and a little tip as well that, you have to put in the work. It's not a 9 to 5 job, but if you want to really, really run fast in a BDM role, these are great ways to leverage off anybody we meet, anybody, anywhere. And quite often, even first home buyer skewed property opens, mum and dad are often coming with first home buyers, and I find mum and dad are some great investors. So you get chatting to them while their, family members are looking through the property, and you go, so what piece have you got? And so many times I've won business because they've said, actually, I've got 3 or 4, might have 1 or 2. I'm with another competitor. I'm experiencing this problem.
Yeah.
Well, would you like me to come out and have a chat to you about that? What's a good time? So always filling the diary with anybody I talk to. So I'm sure I annoyed a lot of people over the years, but it came from a place of good
Absolutely.
and genuine care. People can tell the difference.
Yeah. I got hold of buyer lists. So we had a certain amount of time that the sales agents obviously would nurture the sale campaign. And once the property had been sold, I got access to the buyer list. And this was absolutely gold. Some of these weren't immediate results, Rachel. I'm gonna like say it out there. I think if you're looking for immediate results, you're not playing the long term game, just in my eyes. But it took me,
Right.
I think, 2.5 years for this one client that I'd spoken to. They were buying their dream home and then we're going to be renting out their home. And the sales agents, obviously, they want to help them buy a property, like when they're a hot buyer. So at the time, they were invested in helping them with that purchase. So, but where I came in and nurtured that relationship was they needed to get a rental appraisal letter to help them refinance because it took so long for them to purchase a property. And it was a no-brainer. Once they purchased their dream home, which wasn't with our agency, they came to me straight away. So it's a perfect
I
example
love
that
that.
there's opportunities out there. You just have to look at what's in front of you right now.
Yeah.
And I think another director I'd spoken to said that if their BDM goes to the auctions on the weekend or open homes, they can have a day in lieu if they want. Like if they know that there's
That's great.
a
Yeah.
great, a really great auction coming up. There's going to be a great opportunities for investors then, and they want
Mm,
them to be there. There's ways that you can make it work, right? Because
absolutely.
we got to look
It's
after
give
them.
and take.
That's right.
Yeah,
Give and
it's got to
take.
be client centered. I think everything we do is client centered on their timeline, and
Yeah,
we just get the flex where we can. Yeah.
for sure. So, so many takeaways today. Love it. But what I wanted to finish on is because you're a part of the Rise Initiative and you're an ambassador and influencer, which I absolutely love. Not that it's just got the same branding as me.
I was
Um,
going to say it's a great brand name. Well done, Tick.
Great brand name. We've got different vision, missions, and values, but
Yeah.
and really wanting to shine a light on that. So can you tell us more about, how that's helping the industry and what's accessible to the
Yeah.
professionals in the industry?
Definitely. Look, I was really fortunate to be included as a Rise Initiative ambassador here in Vic. And, what I love about this product is it's simple, it's easy to use, it's free to use. And I think people think there's a catch, but there's genuinely not. The whole philosophy is we're trying to make self-care accessible. So it's like having a wellness coach in your pocket. You get this little baby, your mobile phone, you download the app. And there is everything you could think to use there, whether it's, budgeting and planning your financials, because you might have some stress around commissions haven't come in. How do I budget and plan to make sure I've got stability of income? So that's a great tool, whether it's sales or BDM. There's also 3 free counselling sessions that you can access. And let's not wait until they're crisis moments. Like, I think as an industry, we run fast and then we fall in a heap. So it's about playing for the long game, having those short sprints, but that good rest in between. And, again, John McGrath, one of my great influencers, said 12-week sprints work really well with a week to 10 days rest after that. Take your long weekends, get it where you can, because if you're not bringing the energy and getting balance, it's only ever going to be a short game. It's not sustainable. So don't wait until you get to a crisis point to have the 3 free counselling sessions. They can talk to you about everything from, is it career counselling? Is it how do I manage my work and my life? So you don't need to be at SOS moment, but know that if you are, there's contacts and information in there to help you if you're at a crisis point as well. So I would really recommend everybody download the app. It is what we all need. We all have a bad day. Social media might make us look like we're having a great day every day, but it's a tough gig. It's not an industry for the faint-hearted. And to sustain the long burn like you and I have, you really need to be able to access anything you can, and being free of charge is even more amazing. So I'm
Incredible.
super excited to be presenting up at the Rise Initiative Leadership Conference in Sydney in April. So I'd also recommend anyone who's got a keen interest get on board. Tickets are still at early bird pricing. I think they may not be for much longer, but definitely worthwhile getting there to educate yourself as leaders on how we can help our people and genuinely show up for them without it being a financial burden to your business. So your people are everything. So absolutely people first, and initiatives like the Rise Care and the Rise Initiative and the Real Care app,
Yeah.
so important.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if anyone would like, a demonstration, I'm happy to go to any brand, any office and talk about that. We've got some great slide decks and information. If anyone would like to have me attend their team meetings, it would be my honour as a volunteer. Happy to
Oh,
help.
great. Well, I will pop your details so that everyone can access you and the details of the Real Care app there. But thank you, Rachel, so much for joining me today. And I think, Harcourt's is very lucky to have you and the energy that you
Oh,
bring to the industry as well. And I know that you're always willing to have a chat and help out anyone. So
definitely.
thank you for today sharing your golden nuggets to our BDM community. And thank you for joining us on the Rise Factor.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. I've had a ball and I think we could riff on this BDM nerd stuff for days. So
We could.
really had a great time. Thanks so much, Sarah.
Thank you so much. And as always, team, keep rising.